Hello YouTube, Joey here from Team Burning Infinity with the first video of my fall special. Still haven't come up with a name for it, probably have one by the time I upload it, but I asked on the Facebook group and what people want to see, and side decking was the answer, so I got 5 worlds. Only reason Danger World isn't included is because I don't really have much of the sideboard cards, and besides that, new stuff's coming out, and I want to see if there's a lot of good sideboard stuff in there. I've already seen some potential good cards, but I want to see if there's like a lot of the key cards that might replace 3/4 to the whole side deck, let's say. So just waiting for EVO 2. I'm definitely gonna get some boxes opened on the channel here. Whether I get some or not, I'm still not aware of. Might build Danger World, might not. Like I don't know. I'm really not fond of set 3 meta. It's really linear and boring. So just playing Dragon Control, as you guys know. So we're just gonna start from Ancient World because there's a couple cards really. 2 main ones in the sideboard. They don't really have much of a sideboard yet. We'll put these worlds down at the bottom. But Ancient World's main 2 cards are basically the same thing: Dragon Thunder and Dragon Flame Cascade. Dragon Thunder is a free spell card that destroys a monster with 2,000 power or defense, or less. 2,000 or less power or defense. It's a pretty good card. Removes Dungeon World stuff pretty fairly. And Dragon Flame Cascade is the same thing, but you pay 2 gauge and it destroys all your opponent's monsters with those 2,000 or less stats. So, yeah. These cards are pretty good in the current meta. The fact that you could just kill Tetsuya's, Shilavana's, stuff like that. But in all reality, Ancient World doesn't really have a sideboard right now. It's just not the greatest deck anyway. It's a pretty cool fun deck, whether you're playing Wild Dragon, Seeger, whatever. Galliazon. But Ancient World just doesn't have much for it. It needs a lot more support before it's going to get up there. Next, we'll do Katsuna World. Katsuna World is a world that... you know, I'm not going to explain the world. I'm just going to explain the sideboards. Katsuna World actually has a lot of sideboard cards, like Dungeon World. I actually do have to pull out some of the other Dungeon World cards in the meantime, but yeah. As I was saying, Katsuna World and Dungeon World, probably the decks with the most sideboard cards, because most of their cards have techie effects and whatnot. So, it's pretty easy to fit them in. Actually, this card. So let's get straight into it. Katsuna World, a monster that Devil introduced on his segment is Weeping Ninja Saratobi. It's not the worst, but it isn't the greatest either. 2/1/2 stats. Pay 1 gauge and send this monster a drop zone to destroy 1 spell card on the field. Not the best, not the worst. It's there, I suppose. It's an okay sideboard card. Set spells aren't too rampant, but they're good for like mission card defeat monsters, hot springs, if they leave a form of party for whatever reason, stuff like that. Then you have Sword Skill Barehand Intercept. This card's actually pretty good right now in the fact that most of the meta is item based, and there aren't too many non-item based decks. I would say about 2 of these in Katsuna World sideboards are pretty good. Basically, what it does is if your opponent does any form of attack, link attack, or solo attack with a weapon, you can drop this card, nullify the attack, and draw 1 card. So you get a plus out of nullifying it, and you get a plus just because of the secondary effect. So it's a pretty good card overall. Another card you can play is Ninja Arts Half Kill. Half Kill is a pretty important card. It's a really important card to the Katsuna World sideboard because it stops a lot of monsters. And it can also stop link attacks once again. This card can only be activated when your opponent attacks a monster with Soul Guard. And the counter ability is nullify the attack and put all soul of an attacking monster in the drop zone. I think it's worded. Put all cards from the soul of the attacking monsters into the drop. So if they're attacking with an Armor Knight, Succubus, and a Cerberus, and they both have soul for whatever reason, you drop their souls. It's pretty good. You get pluses out of nullifying attacks. Really good main deck and side deck option. I would not total 4 of. If you're not maining it, side it. If you're maining it, don't side it. That's more like it. Or maybe side a third copy if need be. But Art of Item Blasting, it's a pay 2 gauge cast cost, and its counter ability is destroy an item on the field. So this basically nullifies weapons and really hurts those weapon-based decks. And then the last card I really think is optimal in Cards in the World sideboards. And I'm talking cards that are consistently useful against certain matchups that are probably prominent in one way, shape, or form. Demon Way Sakura Fubuki. This card's amazing in the main deck of Skull Warriors, but this is also a really good sideboard card, even for ninjas, for the fact that against Magic World, you can stop a lot of their cards like Nice One and Magical Goodbye, or Solomon Shield, Chillax. It's basically an extra Star Crusher that you pay 2 life for instead of 3 gauge, and you don't deal damage. So that's it for Katsuna World. Now for Dungeon World. Let me just see my pile really quick. Okay, I've got everything organized. First card is Gummy Slime. It's a really popular card. Everyone knows what Gummy Slime is. It prevents monsters from moving, and this is really good against those triple formation decks like Thunder Knights, Generic Armor Dragons, Jackknives. It's really good against those aggressive Dragon World decks. It's good against tri-formation based danger decks. I suppose dungeon decks it can help with. Not really, though, because no one really plays Prios. So, yeah. Dragon Hate really is the most optimal. Then you got your Soul Guard matchups, which kind of hinder the deck, because there's not always a massive amount of Penetrate on board. So you have Scout criticizing Kirwa. When this card link attacks with an adventure, you put 1 soul from the opposing monster. You put a soul of a monster into the drop zone that your opponent controls. So, let's say I'm playing Seeger, and I have this and Brave Drum. I swing for 7. They let it go through. Before the attack even hits, I remove 1 soul, and then the attack hits, so they soul guard another. It's really good for depleting soul really fast. Then we have Monk of Bread Deity Prios. If you're playing against decks like Magic or whatever, and you're playing decks that don't really have a lot of damage output or penetrate, I suppose this card can work in the sideboard. I'm not saying it's the most optimal. There are definitely better choices. But if you're stuck to a small amount of cards, this helps. Because of this move, it also has some pretty good stats, 4-2-5, so it's a move unit. It's more defensive. Before we even get on to any more cards, it's a card I don't have because all my teammates are using it, and that would be Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone is a pay 2 gauge card, and it removes the souls of both monsters in the center and destroys them. If you do not have a center, you can cast this card. If your opponent doesn't have a center, you cast this card. That would be minus, so I don't know why you're doing that. But the whole point is just saying you can go really plus. Rolling Stone's really good against the bad matchups like in Joel's deck, Ultimate Inferno, or Seeger. My deck, Dragon Control, because I play a bunch of center walls and everything. It's just really good for getting past those bad matchups. Most of the time you shouldn't need it too badly, though. If you're playing against really hyper aggro decks, like 72 Pillars, Tri-Formation Dragons, Jackknives, stuff like that, or not, never mind, not Tri-Formation decks. This is more defensive, like Dungeon Pay. If they call a monster center that's size 2 or less, you just rest it. It's not bad. It's kind of restricted, but depending on your opponent's playstyle, you might be able to pop them with it. So, 2 of those isn't terrible. 2 or 3 of these definitely really important for most Dungeon World sideboards. And that's Cecilia Spell Disarm. This is your Dragon Crush. Just being able to pop weapons and stuff when they can't protect it is really useful. And then, the weapon. Dragon Slaying Sword, Dragon Slayer. It's a 4,000 power 3 critical. Some people actually main deck this card at 1 because it's searchable by form of party. It's pay 2 gauge, and whenever this card would attack a monster with a dragon attribute in it, it gains 4,000 power. So this card can single-handedly hit down Seeger, Spartan, and almost any card in Dragon World. So yeah, dual Dragon Hate also, so it's a very multi-purpose card. That's it for the Dungeon World sideboard, in my opinion. Let's move on to Magic World. Two cards I really need to go over, and that's it. Others are like Magical Goodbyes, etc. Just extra staples that you might need and whatnot. Wizards. Drago Wizard, Tempest Swing. Destroy Seeger. It's a really good size 3. Play. Also, Great Spell Dos Ex Machina also works for the fact that you could just nuke a field. Let's see if I have one. Not here. No. Oh, yeah. This is also a pretty good card. Power Ray Maximum. That's just dropped if you're playing Rush decks and you're already not maining that. Shellax if you're not playing Lat in the main. I suppose those are the main ones, because Shellax is pretty good. Magical Goodbyes, they're very good. This card's really good for Wizards. Dos Ex Machina is really good for Wizards because it's a nuke. And then we have favorite guy right here. Oh, yeah. Oops. Helps in a lot of matchups because it bounces stuff, and most decks can't prevent bouncing. So if you're bouncing costly cards, whether it be Seeger, because that really helps against Seeger. What deck? Jackknives, when they lose their soul, you give them dead cards. Like, there's just a lot of things you could burn through. You can make your opponent go really minus with this card if you know how to play it right. But Magic World isn't too sideboard reliant, or shouldn't be. I believe Magic World has a lot of the stuff it needs in the main to be really potent. Those are just some extra sideboard cards if you're not using them. Dragon World. There are a lot of cards you can use here. White Dragon Shield, extra shields that you're not playing, but you should be playing 8 shields anyway in most decks. Unlike me, who I play 7. 7. See? 7. That's a different story. In all reality, most Dragon World decks should be playing 8 shields. There's just a lot of cards you can side, but these are two of the cards I'm really liking right now. Dragonic Shoot, I really like this card right now for the fact that it hits most of the meta. Before EBO2. This is hitting Dungeon World a ton. This absolutely slaughters Dungeon World. Because it just destroys Tetsuya, destroys Shilavana, destroys Fate Skeleton, destroys Mama Shiva Cobalt. It destroys all those really weak monsters. So it just really helps out. And free removal is always good. You're not wasting resources when you play that. And then you have 3 of the Skies in your hand. Well, this is me, because this is my deck. This card's actually pretty good. It helps you prevent penetration. This prevents penetration, so yeah. Main deck, sideboard, depends. Man, I'm yawning. Other cards you could sideboard, Bladewing Dragon is one of them if you need more move, I suppose. Dragon Crush, Dragonic Thunders and Breaths that are spares. Inferno Armor Dragons if you need the removal. Suppose Extra Grimoire, although I wouldn't recommend that in reality. Maybe Dragonic Dash. Just looking through all my commons. Not too much to sideboard. Like, there are a few cards you can sideboard. Dragon Crush, Psychic Knife Dragon. But I tend to stick more to spells because they're more generic anyway. And besides that, they're also the more powerful sideboard cards in most matchups. So that's it for my sideboarding opinions in highlights of sideboard cards. Those aren't all your options. These are just some of them. It's more like highlighting what I think are the most optimal sideboard cards for overall use, I suppose I could say. Obviously, this is an incomplete list. If I had every card in the game, I'd probably be taking a lot longer to go through. If you're playing 3 Pillar of Fire in your dungeon deck, I highly recommend you side the 4th. If you're playing, like, if you're not maxing out on any removal spells, whether it be Breath, Thunder, I hope you're not maxing out Shoot in your main decks, that's stupid. Those cards, Dragon Barrier works. As I said, extra shields work. There's a lot of things that work. Sideboards are pretty narrowed down compared to main deck options, but overall it's pretty good. The cards you need just help you against your bad matchups or help you maintain control against your good matchups. And that's why I believe the sideboard's in the game. So that's everything overall. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Fall Special Episode 2 I'm going to leave some options on the Facebook page. And you guys can pick which one you want to see. Because now that I did the requested one, I'm going to start doing like what you need for buddy fighting, if you're new to it or whatnot, etc. This is here to help everyone, new players and not so new players, veteran players, everyone. So yeah, all just options. Oh yeah, Wizards, I suppose you could sideboard that. I would not call it the greatest sideboard option. Bye-bye later, I suppose. I don't know, like there aren't too many cards I'd sideboard. But it's pretty interesting. So overall, those are my opinions, as I said. If you have any suggestions for me or other people, leave them down in the comment section down below, because I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on what sideboard cards are best. If you have any other ideas for the fall special, leave them in the comments down below too, because I'm interested in hearing ideas for videos. I already have a couple in mind, but you know, it never hurts. So yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check you guys out later. Joey from Team Burning Infinity signing out. Peace.